Welcome to Leadership Adventure. My name is Marv McCarthy, and I'm your host. The Leadership Adventure podcast for 2024 will feature 2 episodes per week. So first, on Tuesdays, I'll release an episode called The Blog. And the blog is simply an audio version of my written blog, and it's designed for all leaders, whether you serve in a marketplace company, either a public or private sector, ministries or faith-based organizations, perhaps an educational institution, or any other type of not-for-profit. And also, the blog is applicable regardless of your organizational level, whether you're right out of college or whether you're a seasoned executive. I try to provide material that is relevant to everyone. Now, second, on Thursdays, I'll release an episode called The Devo, and the Devo is simply short for devotional. And that's also an audio version of my written devotional, which is designed primarily for leaders of faith. So whether you actively serve in a pastoral or ministry role, a faith-based not-for-profit perhaps, or maybe an educational institution, maybe you're a volunteer in your local church, or really any other leader who has an interest in deepening their spiritual walk alongside improving their leadership skills. The written versions of the blog and the Devo are available on my website, which is leadership-adventure.com, on my social media outlets, which you can link from the bottom of my website homepage. Now, I'm also posting the podcast on my YouTube channel, which is at Leadership Adventure, one word with no spaces. The difference between here on the podcast and on YouTube is that the YouTube episode will contain a visual summary of my main points, which I really can't do here on the audio podcast. So if you'd like to be able to jot down some notes or get a little more detail, YouTube is a great place to do that. Now, I'm really looking forward to 2024. My hope and my prayer is that you will grow both in your spiritual walk and in your leadership as we spend some time together each week. Now let's jump right into this week's blog episode, which is called The Leader as Craftsman. Now, I really like mechanical watches. I don't have a large collection, but I have a few. And a relatively recent trend in the mechanical watchmaking industry has been the introduction of what is known as a display case back. So the solid metal back, which you'd normally see on a watch, is replaced with a clear back, and normally that's made out of sapphire crystal, so that you can actually see the engine or the movement within the watch. So in this way, the watch owner, myself, gets a glimpse into the craftsmanship that went into the creation of the piece. Now, as I've observed leadership over 40 plus years now, I've come to the conclusion that great leaders are very much akin to master craftsmen. Leaders craft organizations, but most importantly, we craft people. People who, in turn, will hopefully craft other people, and ultimately that will create a leadership legacy that is passed down from generation to generation. And central to this idea of craftsmanship is the idea of mastery. I'm going to take you all the way back to 1989, when Lexus was first introduced as a brand to the United States. Now, do you remember what their tagline was back then? It was this: the relentless pursuit of perfection. So in my mind, that encapsulates this idea of leadership mastery pretty well. Leaders are in constant pursuit, realizing that no matter how good we are, there's always room to learn and to grow. Most of us want this pursuit to yield something of impeccable quality, high impact, and timeless value. So for today, I put together a list of 8 parallels between leadership and craftsmanship. So perhaps it gives us a fresh perspective on our work as we embark on this brand new year of 2024. All right, point number 1 is attention to detail. Now, master craftsmen are known for meticulous attention to detail. If you look through the display case back of a high-end mechanical watch and you see literally several hundred parts that are working together on a very miniaturized level, that will give you a new appreciation for what the master craftsman does. And as leaders, we also must pay attention to the nuances of our team's dynamics. Each person has individual strengths. There's also subtle aspects of our respective work cultures. Then all those items need to be put in the blender and nuanced so that we can create a high-performance team. So that's attention to detail. Point number 2 is patience and perseverance. Crafting something of quality takes time, it takes patience. It's akin to nurturing a team or perhaps an entire organization. And guys, let's face it, leading people can result in some of the highest of highs and some of the lowest of lows. So patience is required because developing people or crafting people and organizational structures is a process that simply cannot be rushed. Point number 3 for today is adaptability and problem solving. Another parallel between craftsmen and leaders are that craftsmen are known for adapting their techniques based on a deep understanding of their raw materials. We as leaders also must be flexible and adaptable, working with the team and the resources that we've got. And people are all different. Each of us have different teams. Each of us have different individuals on those teams, and each person and each leader's raw material is different. So we have to adapt and we have to solve problems. So demonstrating this flexibility most often will enhance team performance and also morale. It's a lot of times more art than science. Point number 4 is vision and planning. Craftsmen have to have a clear vision of what they'll produce. You can't put a multi-hundred part watch movement together without a very, very intelligent and intentional design. Similarly, leaders need a clear vision for their own team and their own organization. The vision coupled with good planning will guide their actions and decisions. And don't forget clarity, which is something I talk about all the time. The vision and the plan needs to be clearly and constantly communicated and reinforced in as simple terms as possible. Number 5 for today is continuous learning. This is a restatement of the mastery idea that I talked about at the outset, but it bears repeating. 6 is quality and excellence. A craftsman takes pride in the quality of their work. Leaders can also adopt this mindset by striving for excellence in all aspects of our leadership, from decision making all the way to the ways in which we interact with our teams. The bottom line is that character and integrity matter here, and a key question for all of us is, are you or are we leaders worth following? Number 7, everyone is unique. Craftsmen, as I've mentioned, use different methods for different raw materials. Watchmakers, for example, work with a variety of different metals in the creation of a mechanical watch. Leaders also need to recognize the unique talents and needs of each team member. And taking time to know your team, which I know is hard sometimes when our schedules are so full and so packed, but knowing your team well will always facilitate better performance and better outputs. And finally for today, point number 8, legacy and impact. I use those words a lot too, but craftsmen create works that often outlast them. Jumping away from watches for a moment, if you've ever seen an ancient Japanese katana or a samurai sword, for example, they are still as beautiful and sharp as they were, some of them literally hundreds of years ago. So in conclusion, especially in today's instant and disposable society, leaders can learn from craftsmen the importance of building something lasting. Now, it's your turn. What will your craftsmanship produce this year? Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.